Before we jump right into my phone, because I know that you clicked onto this video because y'all are nosy and just want to see what's on my phone, I do want to take a second to talk about digital minimalism. For me, digital minimalism is just having more of what I need. So focusing on the apps that I need to be productive and to be able to focus in my day-to-day life, to be able to be present in my everyday life without depending on my phone and without depending on apps to do it. And before the hounds of minimalism attack me in the comments section, no, this is not a dumb phone, and I haven't deleted all of my apps. The idea of a dumb phone isn't really something that I subscribe to, but you know what I do subscribe to is this channel. Actually, true story, I do subscribe to my own channel, but we can talk about that some other time. Focus modes, here are all of my focus modes, and I'm going to dive more into detail a little bit later on what each one does and what apps are within each one. My goal with using my phone is to use it with intention, and that means no mindless scrolling, no getting distracted when I should be working on my goals or living my life, no looking at my phone first thing in the morning for 3 hours. Yeah, I've been there and I know what that's like. That is not a life that I want to live, and that's not a life that I want you to live either. I just need to be present in life, just like you do. Archive is the focus mode in which I focus on learning and my self-growth and my journey towards self-actualization and being able to focus on the things that I find fulfilling outside of work. Dive is what I use when I am filming. Right now, I am in dive mode. This is where absolutely no notifications, no phone calls come in. Sorry, mom and dad and everybody in between. This is when I need to be focused on my work. This is when I am in the zone. Once I turn it on, I know that I am in creating mode. I'm not going to have any interruptions, and flipping the switch physically on my phone to that focus mode, it flips a switch in my brain and it tells my brain, all right, this is it. You are going into battle. So get ready. The reason that I work and that I do things is so that I can live. I fully want to enjoy my life, and so I have a focus mode called Jive, and this focus mode is just for fun. I have it activate on the weekends. It kind of reminds me to have this work-life balance, and I have the things that are going to help me to do things on the weekend. Speaking of life balance, a little bit of work, a little bit of play. Don't get me wrong, like there's definitely a problem. It's a worldwide problem with phone addiction, but on the other hand, I love technology and I love innovation, and the last thing that I want is for people to completely discard it from their lives. Phone addiction happens because people are not comfortable with being bored. They're not comfortable with that idleness. You go into an elevator with somebody else that you don't know, and the first thing that happens is one of those people pulls out their phone to look at their phone, even though their floor is only like 15 seconds away. It's an interesting phenomenon, but I think it's important to keep in mind the notifications that we have on our devices. They keep pulling us back in. So even if there's a part of us that doesn't want it, the notifications are gonna just,
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
which is why I don't have any notifications on my phone. I want to get bored. I want to be uncomfortable, because in that uncomfortable state, in that bored state, that is where innovation comes from. That is where creativity is born. That is when you do your best work. When you're uncomfortable, when you feel like like something needs to change, that's when you get inspired to change. That's when you get inspired to innovate and do something. I wouldn't have run around in a Batman costume in public if it wasn't because I needed to do something. If it wasn't because I had to get out there and create. I wouldn't have published a book before I was 18 years old if I hadn't let myself be bored. I wouldn't have produced feature films before I was even 20 years old. I let myself be bored, be present, allow myself to imagine myself doing these things. If you are bored right now, then maybe consider subscribing to this channel, and we can entertain ourselves and we can have these lively conversations. Plus, I don't know, maybe I'll dress up as Batman for another video in the future again. So revive, this is my sleep mode. This is to help me wind down. The screen is a little bit darker and it just helps me relax. Having this automatically, when I look at my phone around that time, I see that things have shifted, right? Physically, things have changed because my phone is different, and so that helps me to get into the mindset of like, okay, it's time to relax. What I did today, I've done, and what I need to do, I will do tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, in Rise, that activates in the morning, so it activates early in the morning, so that when I open up my phone, the first thing that I see is this screen, which is very limited, and there are no possibilities for distraction in this focus mode. So that when I wake up in the morning, I don't see a lot of apps, I don't see a lot of things, and I just turn off my alarm and then I can get going. Now, this one is for fun. I just really love this wallpaper. It makes me laugh and it reminds me to not take things too seriously. And this helps me to survive on the especially hard days. Survive today and tomorrow will be better. Lastly, this is Thrive, and this is where I spend 80% of my phone time in. It's a pretty minimal setup and it's simple. My notifications let the right people in. This is pretty much what my phone looks like on most days, any given time that I pick up my phone. I talked a little bit about phone addiction, but I didn't exactly talk about curbing your phone addiction. So I want to give a little bit of pointers before I dive into each one of the focus modes and tell you about the apps in each one. So there's a lot of different methods out there. I'm sure that you've heard some of them. And if you're watching this video, you've probably looked into them yourselves, doing the whole turning your phone into grayscale, scheduling a time to use your gadgets, your phones and stuff, turning off your notifications, of course, and the most popular one at the moment is getting a dumb phone, deleting all of your apps, and maybe downloading apps to be able to measure the amount of time that you spend, or to lock certain apps at certain hours, things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of methods out there and you can try all of them and see which one works for you. I find that what works best is to figure out what triggers you. What is motivating you to use your phone? Because I think that that is the bigger issue. Why is it that when you enter that elevator with a stranger, that the first thing that you do, your instinct, is to reach for your pocket and pull out your phone instead of just standing there in silence with this other person? Or even if you're an extrovert, saying hello to the other person or just smiling or whatever. Like, why are you reaching for your phone in these situations, like in these moments where you feel uncomfortable? So I think sitting with yourself and figuring out why you are distracting yourself from doing the things that you either need to do or that you want to do, or maybe the things that make you uncomfortable. So it's important to figure out those three things. Why is it that you're reaching for your phone instead of doing those three things? And dealing with those things. Now let's dive into archive. I have a map of everywhere that I've been in the world, and this just inspires me and it breeds culture and travel. And so I think it's just really fitting to have this on this screen. I also have Khan Academy. This is one of my favorite platforms. It is completely free and there's a lot of video courses there to help me to learn on a variety of different things. I'm currently in the process of taking world history. I also have Masterclass, which is not free, but I find that it has been worth it. Currently, I am taking a second class with Gordon Ramsay. I also have the Audible widget because I'm usually always reading a book. I feel like that's not a good sentence. Usually always. Anyway, having the widget there helps me to dive right into whatever book I am currently on. I have my knowledge journal. So this journal is a note where I take down notes for books, YouTube videos that I watch, for courses that I take, for anything that I feel is worth remembering or studying later on or repeating. I keep it in this one journal. And so having this front and center kind of helps me and incentivizes me to learn more things and to revisit things that I have studied in the past. You'll find that I don't really have any games on my phone, which is, it can be a little bit surprising for some of you who have followed me for a very long time, because you know that one of my channels used to be a gaming channel. And so I used to have a lot of games on my phone, but no longer. Really, all I have is Sudoku and chess. So those are the games that I have. And I feel that they're a little bit more strategic and they exercise my mind a little bit more. So that's why I allow them to stay here and why I promote them in this archive focus mode. Lastly, I have GPT. Of course, this is for asking questions, doing research, and I have a specific GPT that just talks to me about history. So any questions that I have or anything that I want to dive deeper into, this GPT will talk to me about history. So in Survive, there's really not much. It's really not worth looking at all. Like, to be honest, I only really use it when I need a reminder to survive. Because my work mainly consists of being creative, like writing and creating YouTube videos. I have these kinds of apps on my phone. So up at the top, I have my scripts for any videos that I am filming next. So it automatically shows me whatever video I am supposed to be filming, so that when I pull up those notes, they're on my phone and it's right there ready for me to dive in. You get it? You guys get that? I have the camera app because I take a lot of photos and videos using my phone when I'm doing stuff for my travel channel. And I have editing apps for my photography because I love to do photography. And files, well, files are just, they're files. So Govee is my lighting system. So it's the lights that you see behind me over here, and this is what I use to activate for my filming.
Okay, done.
By the way, the names of everything that I mentioned in this video and any links that I think are useful are going to be in the description below. So if you're curious about these lights that I have, it's going to be in the description. And of course, there's no notifications for anything, so there's no interrupting me while I'm filming. Usually there's no interrupting. Sometimes a phone call from one of my parents gets through, but we'll discuss that some other time. I've mentioned digital minimalism a few times in this video already, and if you are one of those people who doesn't mind scrolling for 3 hours on TikTok, then obviously this lifestyle isn't for you. But if you've made it this far into this video, then obviously you want something else for yourself. And I commend you for making it this far into the video. Digital minimalism is not about buying less. It's not about having less, but it's rather buying the right things It's about buying with intention. If you do want to curb your phone addiction, or you want to have a healthier relationship with your gadgets, then you can do a deep dive with my course. The link is going to be in the description. And we talk about digital minimalism and how to organize your digital world so that you don't feel guilty about using the gadgets that you love. Jive is for fun. I had this idea maybe a month ago where I thought, you know what? I need something that's just like, that's fun, and it's not about productivity, it's not about work, and it's not about creating, but it's just about having fun and being a little bit careless. There was this photo that I saw from Miami Vice. I thought that it was such a mood that I wanted to embody this. And so really I made this focus mode because of this wallpaper. In this focus mode is my calendar, because that way I can see whatever cool parties I am going to. That's a lie. I probably don't have any parties to go to, but I do have events that I enjoy to go to. I go to the theater a lot, and I go to the movies a lot. I go to the movies multiple times a week, and I love that. So I want to be able to see that right up at the top if there's any events or anything that's coming up, so that I don't forget, because believe it or not, I do have ADD and I do forget things a lot. So it helps me to have the calendar there. I have my texting apps, my messages and Discord, things like that at my fingertips so that I can get in touch with people. So if I have plans with anybody, then I can facilitate that communication with them. I always have my notes app because I use it for my idea capturing, and I come up with ideas constantly. Like every day I come up with ideas. I come up with ideas when I'm by myself, and I come up with ideas when I'm hanging out with people. So it never ends, and I always want to have a place where I can just capture them. My notes app there, always available for me on my phone. I have the weather, because of course I need to know if it's going to rain. This is Miami. You never know what's going to happen. And having my maps so that I can go to places if I don't know where I'm going. Screen time. I keep this widget here because when I'm trying to live my life and have fun, I want to make sure that my screen time is matching what I believe is my reality, right? So I'm thinking like, oh, I'm having fun, I'm not using my phone. But then if my screen time is really high, then I want to see why that is. A lot of times my screen time will be high because I do use my phone for filming and for taking photos. So sometimes it makes sense. It's not something that changes the way that I use my phone, but more so just serves as a reminder to not look at my screen if I'm trying to hang out with people or be at an event or do something like that and I want to be present. I use OpenTable to RSVPs for restaurants. I use Fever a lot because they host some really cool events and you can only get tickets and stuff through Fever. I especially love their candlelight concerts. I think those are really beautiful and they're relaxing and I enjoy those evenings. So I use Fever for that, to find stuff to do. And then I also have Spotify for music. And if you do want to listen to some of my curated playlists, then I have links for that in the description as well. In Revive, it's going to look a little bit like the archive in that it has the map up at the top. Again, this is all of the places that I've been to, that I've traveled to, and is calming. And I like to look at this map before I go to sleep. And I have a little calendar widget so that I can see if I have anything coming up in the morning that I need to wake up early for, especially if I'm not going to be looking at my phone early in the morning. I want to make sure that I don't forget and I don't miss it. I have my messaging apps because I do like to talk to my friends or to people, and so I like to be able to have that accessible to me. And you never know when somebody is going to send you a dank meme, so you don't want to miss out on that. And so I do keep that on there. And then of course I have, again, Con and Masterclass, because sometimes I like to listen to a lesson or two before I go to sleep. And YouTube. I use YouTube for relaxing videos. I might have some ASMR or maybe some audiobooks that I am listening to through YouTube. I also listen to white noise, like the Star Trek Enterprise. There's a ton of videos where they recreate the inside of the Enterprise from Star Trek. And so I like to listen to those sometimes and pretend like I am floating around in space in a cabin somewhere in space, like in a spaceship, and I'm falling asleep and there's stars all around me. Anyway, this is how I go to sleep. And how I wake up in the morning. Well, I love to see the weather first thing in the morning because that helps me to decide how I am going to dress sometimes. And I have Fantastical. This is the calendar that I use because it helps me to aggregate all of the different calendars that I might have for work. And then it also has this birthday feature, which reminds me of all of my friends' birthdays so that I can easily wish them a happy birthday and see what they are up to. I also have my Files app here because I have all of my morning meditations in a specific folder on my computer. And so the Files app helps me to locate that without going to YouTube or to any other apps or anything like that, and then getting thrown into the rabbit hole of distraction, because you know very well that if you open up YouTube with the intent of doing one thing, then you see something else and then you're on YouTube for the next hour and a half. So I have all the things that I want to be listening to or watching first thing in the morning saved locally offline so that I don't jump into all of that. Again, I have my notes app in case I had some revelations or something during my sleep that I want to remember. So I write those down in the notes app. Before I wrap up this video, let's talk about the wallpapers for a second. I don't really overthink them too much. For me, it's fun. The collage that you see in a lot of my focus modes is my vision board, and I know what these images and text and numbers, I know what these mean to me and how they inspire me, and nobody else needs to know what they mean. And the reason that I have my vision board on here and everywhere is actually because Steve Harvey inspired me to do it. I heard him say something and I thought that it was funny and it made so much sense because he was like, why are you going to put something random? Like,
you know how people have like their dog on their phone or a picture of a flower? Why is my dog on my phone? He at the house.
put your dreams on there so that you see them and you make them your reality.
Every time I answer my phone, it's to remind me and reinforce my visions.
That helps me to keep me motivated and inspired on a daily basis. My dad was in an episode of Miami Vice. This is fun for me. It brings me memories. It reminds me of my family, my dad, and it gives me the vaporwave, the dreamwave, retrowave vibes, whatever. So I just really like it, and I think it really fits the aesthetic of spending a weekend in Miami. My wallpaper for Jive is a whale, and this is from a custom wallpaper pack for my Create IRL group. This is my community, and if you want to download it, again, all links to everything are going to be in the description. This is the School of Athens by the painter Raphael, and I find it to be really motivating. It's really relaxing in a way. It feels otherworldly, and it reminds me of the pursuit of knowledge and personal growth. And it reminds me to never lose that interest of our history, of our world, our culture. This is it. Probably one of my longer videos on this channel. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, then you should definitely give it a thumbs up to let me know and subscribe and all of that stuff. But I don't know, maybe you'll enjoy some of my other videos because I do talk about minimalism and digital minimalism and phone addiction. And I also have other conversations about life and personal growth and helping you transition into that life of peace that we talked about earlier on in the video. We do live in a digital world, so it is difficult to just eliminate everything. And if you want to know which apps you should definitely keep on your phone, there's 4 of them, then click on this video over here. The link is also going to be down below somewhere, so you can see what you shouldn't miss out on. All right, so that's it. And remember to always find a way to adapt and be present and live more intentionally in this digital life. I don't want you to feel guilty. You can start today by curating your phone or just taking a break and, I don't know, like touching grass or, being more present or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to go do that now because I've been talking for way too long. All right, I will see you when I see you.